In episode 6, the Witcher has once again been hired by people to take out a monster, and Jaskier has accompanied him. But it's taking so long that they're starting to think he's dead, and they don't have to pay, so they're about to get out of there, even though Jaskier is imploring them to stay. Out of nowhere, this guy with 2 girls shows up and says, "You should probably listen to Bard." But when the person who hired Geralt tries to be Tommy Toughnuts with the guy, one of the girls ends up killing him. Right after his body hits the floor, a monster's head is thrown over the rocks by Geralt, who is looking for his payment. The man then introduces himself as a man named Borch, and his 2 companions are Taya and Vea, and he's been looking all over for Geralt of Rivia. So everybody heads to the bar, and he tells them that a green dragon was spotted near a town, and after the villagers starting attacking it, the green dragon got pissed and attacked them back. So the king of the village has organized this dragon hunt. The king is promising to whoever kills the dragon treasure hoard, along with the title of lord among one of his many states. And he's coming to Geralt because he is one of the heads of the 4 teams that's going after the dragon. Problem is, Geralt doesn't want to do it. He doesn't want to kill dragons, and he's pretty adamant about saying no. Even though Geralt is saying no, Borch continues on, trying to convince him to come along. He starts showing off some of the teams in the bar that they'll be competing against. One is a bunch of dwarves, the other is a group of reavers. And then the 3rd team walks in, and a part of their group is Yennefer. Now, as soon as Yennefer walks in the bar, Jaskier says, "Yeah, no, we're out. Thank you. We're gonna leave now." But Geralt says, "I'm in." Before all the groups head off to the dragon hunt, Yennefer walks over to talk to Geralt, and her and Jaskier exchange some barbs. And then Geralt asks, "What are you even doing here?" And she's there to escort this knight who is the definition of a Gordy go-hard. Prime example is during the walk up the mountain to find the dragon's lair, Jaskier, who has been hitting on Taya and Vea the entire time, says, "Hey, I'm gonna go in this brush over here and find us some food." But when he does, he also finds a monster. Now, as soon as Geralt sees this beast, he knows that it poses no threat, it's just hungry, and if they feed it, it'll go away. But instead of heeding that advice, the knight pulls out a sword and chops it up to bits. Later on in the walk up the mountain, they see some of the area where the dragon burned, and Geralt can't make sense of it. I mean, why would a dragon just all of a sudden attack? And Borch says when your species is dying off, you tend to become more desperate. Everybody makes camp for the night, and the knight has taken in that monster and starts to eat it, even though everyone's telling him he really shouldn't. And he probably should have taken their advice because he ends up getting sick from it. And because of that, amongst many other things with this guy, he becomes the butt of everybody's joke. One of the dwarfs makes mention that someone should let him know that the land that he's going to inherit won't even be around in 10 years because Nilfgaard is attacking. The rightful heir has shown up and is burning through the south. And when Yennefer hears that, she cracks up because she doesn't think too highly of Frangilla the mage. The dwarf says he's seen it with his own eyes, and they're slowly making their way through town. And many of the towns that they visit could be next, including Sintra. And Jaskier says there's no way they're going to go through Sintra. Queen Calante won't let them have what's rightfully hers. The conversation then turns to dragons because Jaskier doesn't actually believe in them. And he wants Geralt to tell everybody that they're all wasting each other's time, but Geralt says, no, it's true. While they're not as common as they used to be, they do in fact exist. And the green one, like the one that we're chasing, is the most common, followed by the red one, and then the most rare is a black one. Borch says the most rare one is a gold one, but Geralt doesn't believe that that's even a thing. He's never seen one himself and thinks it's a myth. And if they did exist, it was because of a mutation. But either way, if it did exist, it died off. The next day, everybody wakes up to find that Yennefer's knight has been murdered while he was going to the bathroom of all places. And the dwarfs make mention that somebody in this group is not playing fair. And he knows it wasn't his group, and he doesn't think that it's Borch's, which leaves the reavers. So he offers Borch a plan. The dwarves have been mining that mountain for years and know a shortcut that could cut off a day. He tells Borch that if he wants to follow him, they can get in front of the reavers, and then after they get there, it's every man for himself. And that sounds like a great idea to Borch. But Geralt says, hey, I'll catch up ahead, and wants to go talk to Yennefer. He first asks Yennefer if she's the one who killed the knight, and she says no, it was the reavers. But the real question he has is what she's actually doing there. And then he realizes it's because there's this rumor that goes around that a dragon heart can help with fertility issues. And he can't believe that she wants to become a mother because she would make a terrible mother. He tells her, our lifestyle isn't conducive to being a parent. It's one of the reasons I've never claimed my child surprise. I don't want to subject a child to this. And he instantly knows that he should not have said that. And this is the first time that she's hearing that he has a child surprise. And she can't believe that she's being lectured about wanting to become a mother when this guy is kind of a deadbeat dad. The conversation gets pretty awkward, and he finally says, hey, the dwarves have found a quicker way. Why don't you follow us? And she does. But that quicker way is a very narrow walkway on the side of a mountain that, stiff gust of wind, it could blow you over and you could be killed. And it's great for dwarves because, they're short, but regular human beings are going to have problems with it. Although they've already wasted enough time getting up there that they're not going to turn back. So as the group slowly makes their way on the narrow walkway, one of the planks breaks, and Borch, along with Taya and Vea, are just hanging on by a chain. And Geralt of Riva is hanging on to the other end of that chain, trying to get them back up, but it's pointless. Taya, Vea, and Borch are just bringing everybody down, and they know that, so they let go sacrificing themselves for the betterment of the group. After the walkway, Jaskier can sense that Geralt is feeling guilty about what happened with Borch and Taya and Vea, and tries to cheer him up, saying, we can just leave all this behind. We can get out of here. But Geralt isn't going anywhere without Yennefer because he is in love with her. And he goes into her tent that night, and the two admit that they have feelings for each other. It's really adorable. They're in that puppy dog phase where they can't live without each other. But when they wake up the next morning, Yennefer notices that the dwarfs are gone because it is every man for themselves, and she quickly heads to the top of the mountain and freezes them in their tracks. But when she gets to the dragon's lair, the dragon is already dead. And the two people that pop out of the lair are Taya and Vea, very much alive. Right behind Yennefer was Geralt, and he is shocked to see both Taya and Vea. And then out of the sky pops a golden dragon. And that golden dragon was Borch. Because just like The Witcher had predicted, if golden dragons do exist, it must be because of a mutation. Borch explains how he needed somebody like The Witcher who wouldn't harm dragons but protect them, and he needed to go on this mission to keep his enemies close. While the green dragon is dead, they couldn't risk moving the egg, because if you move the egg, the dragon inside dies. And because the species is dying off, he couldn't let that happen. The group then is interrupted by the Reavers. Taya, Vea, Geralt, and Yennefer go into battle against them defending the egg, and they're able to. Right after the group takes out the Reavers, Yennefer's spell on the dwarfs is lifted, and they show up, and they're pissed because they think that they're too late. But Borch, who is transformed back into a human being, offers them dragon teeth as proof that they were the ones who in fact killed the dragon, saying, hey, if you don't tell, I'm not going to tell. You can take credit. And if the king is unwilling to take the dragon teeth, just tell him that on his wedding night, a dead dragon is going to drop on his table. And the dwarfs, who are never one to look a gift horse in the mouth, excitedly take it, getting to take credit for the kill and not having to do any of the work. Geralt, Jaskier, Borch, and Yennefer then have a conversation about why Borch did what he did, and he says that the dragon egg is his last legacy. It's his last child he's ever going to have, and he needed to protect it at all costs. He then thanks Yennefer for her help, saying, I can see why Geralt didn't want to lose you, but Yennefer has no idea what he's talking about. And Geralt looks at her and says, the djinn. But when he says that, she interprets it as he used his last wish to make her fall in love with him. And the feelings that she's having for Geralt aren't actual feelings, but instead a forced upon wish. Geralt denies all of this, saying that the feelings that she's having for him are completely justified. And the two have their first fight. It's pretty adorable. And Borch jumps in and says, I'm going to save you guys a lot of time. Yennefer, you're never getting your fertility back, ever. It's not going to happen. And Geralt, while you don't want to lose her, you end up losing her. And Yennefer, who is crying at this point, says, he already did, and she walks off. And it's tough getting dumped. So when Jaskier tries to cheer up Geralt snaps at him, saying that what he really wants is to be left alone from Jaskier and for Jaskier to go away. And this hurts Jaskier's feelings, and he just says, okay, and he dejectedly walks off. And then finally there's the issue of Ciri, who is walking out of the forest along with Dara and the doppelganger, and she's asking the doppelganger a bunch of questions, and he's answering them, but he's getting more and more frustrated. Dara pulls her aside and says, there's something off with this guy. I know you know him, but think about what the queen in the forest said. Ask the right questions, and we're not doing that now. So Ciri starts asking the right questions, and ends up tricking him into a lie where he reveals that they killed Musak, and it was all in an attempt to get her. He reveals his true identity, and Dara pulls out a knife and goes after him, and both Dara and Ciri are able to get him down. And Dara is questioning him, saying, why did you go after her? But Ciri says, it's because I'm special, kill him. And when Dara hears that, he's a little surprised, and it frees up enough room for the doppelganger to knock Dara out. Ciri then goes running into the woods, but she's quickly caught and tied up. The doppelganger then takes Ciri's appearance and purposely gets caught by the man with the feather on his helmet, whose actual name is Kahar. He tells the doppelganger, who looks like Ciri, that while he didn't want to meet like this, his whole goal has been to help her fulfill her destiny, and that the white flame has brought them together, because she is the key to everything. But then the doppelganger reveals his true identity, saying, you didn't tell us what she really was. The two end up getting into a fight where one of them gets stabbed, and we assume the doppelganger is able to escape out. Later on, in a room full of dead bodies, Kahar is getting treated for that stab wound by Frangilla, and she lets him know that while they haven't found the doppelganger or the girl yet, they will continue to search. She can also tell that he's feeling pretty down about himself, and she reminds him he rose up against the usurper, helped free his people. She says, I witnessed the white flame call on you. I witnessed it mold you. I witnessed it anoint you. And while Ciri is the key, you are the commissioner. So don't worry, we'll find her, and we'll spread your supremacy through the kingdom, whether they want it or not. Now, Ciri, who was tied up by the doppelganger in the woods, has been found by Dara. He unties her, but lets her know that she's just like her grandmother. Death and problems follow her everywhere she goes, and because of that, he's done. And he ends up walking off, leaving her by herself, crying in the middle of the woods. Thank you for watching this recap. If you do not see the next one up in the corner right there on the end screen, don't worry, it'll be up shortly. please consider following the channel. That'd be cool. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. And if you don't, there's a thumbs down button for a reason.